Hello, everyone. Welcome to TSAM Digital. My name is Anna, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mark Pflitsch, the head of sales at SteelEye. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Morning, thank you. So today we wanted to speak about supervisory oversight and holistic surveillance with a particular focus on communications monitoring. And before we get started, Mark, would you like to say a couple of words about SteelEye and what you do?
Yep, gladly, absolutely. So within SteelEye, our main concern really is to help clients navigate the regulatory landscape, and especially when it comes to surveillance, both from a communications perspective, which is obviously the main focus of today's call, but then also for the trade surveillance. And one thing that we try and do is we try and take, if you like, the effort out of trying to get to the data in the first place by bringing it together. And one of the unique aspects of how we do that is we bring together all the unstructured communications data with the structured trade and order data, so you can overlay that into one centralized platform. That's in essence what we try and do.
Brilliant. Thank you for that introduction. So to kick things off, can you tell us what are the rules surrounding market abuse surveillance?
So the rules, regardless whether they're in Europe or in the US or in APAC, they all pretty much run along the same lines. And that is that you have your local regulators and your jurisdictional oversight dictating the fact that you need to be able to capture, store, and retrieve very effectively all your communications and your trades. So this is MiFID II, it can be Dodd-Frank, so whatever jurisdiction you're in. But then also you have to be able to prove to the regulators that you have effective oversight of what is going on within your firm as well. So the idea really being is that the regulators have put a huge amount of pressure both on the sell side and the buy side firms. And invariably that means a huge level of IT infrastructure that they have. And they're going to have different ones for emails, for Bloombergs, for voice, for chats, for trades and all that. And it's quite complex for clients to get to the data that they need quickly. And so what we try and help in that respect is, as I mentioned in the introduction just now, is we bring it all together in one centralized platform. But in essence, in short, it is to have robust and effective oversight of trades and communications.
That's really interesting. So what are the challenges with meeting surveillance obligations?
There's several challenges on that, actually. I think the biggest one that clients have is, and as I mentioned just now, there's so many disparate systems in play and disparate data sources, if you like, that it makes it very challenging to get effective oversight and control of the whole process that you do. So that's one major challenge that clients have got. The other challenge is any associated costs that go with that. And by that, I don't mean the platform providers that you subscribe to, but also more the costs within your in-house costs of having to employ a certain level of staffing just to get to the data before they can actually get on with their day job and analyze that data. So that's a huge challenge as well. So many firms always see compliance as a cost rather than necessarily as a benefit. There are different takes on that, of course, but in essence, the challenge is very much to get to the data in the first place and having clean data, by the way. So, is that data accurate or not? And that leads on to multiple downstream issues as well that clients have got. Another thing is most of our clients, and I think most clients anyway out there, have a global footprint, or at least are active in more than one jurisdiction. So you also want to have a consistent approach to your surveillance and your monitoring and your capture. Because actually, ultimately, if you have an alert coming out of the US, an alert coming out of Europe, you really want to come at it the same way, so that at least the result that comes out is consistent when you have your global manager who sits maybe on top of all the different branches and all the subsidiaries, that he can compare like with like rather than necessarily having to sort of reinterpret what the US might mean compared to what Europe might mean.
And why is holistic surveillance important for asset managers?
It's important not only for asset managers, but clearly it's key to any regulated entity. And I think one of the reasons it's very important is a trade, as you know, doesn't just begin with the moment I place an order with my broker. It actually, what's the conversation you've had beforehand? What's the lead up to that trade? Because if that trade, for whatever reason, has created an alert, a suspicious alert, that you then need to look into, the communications around that trade may well actually say, actually, it may look suspicious, But the fact is, this communication was very clear and it was very to the point, and it explains why that trade was done in a certain way. And without having the communications, you only have half the story. And the same goes with communications. Without the trade, you only have half the story. So holistic is important because for the asset managers, I think to give potential investors comfort that the money they're investing and into said asset manager, that there's a robust oversight and everything is being monitored correctly on that. So it gives investor confidence, but at the same time also counterparty risk. The broker will look at the asset manager and also take a view, how robust are they and what is their oversight and control. So it works both ways. So in a way, actually, and some clients do this, especially some startup hedge funds, they use it as a marketing tool to say they have robust oversight. So it gives confidence both to the investors, but also to the wider ecosystem that they interact with.
That sounds really fascinating. I did want to ask, as a follow-up, how does communication surveillance fit in here? And how do firms ensure compliance when staff use channels such as WhatsApp?
Good question. So, I mean, communications fits in because it's obviously mandated. It's under MiFID II, and also in the US, it's mandated, same in APAC. It fits in quite clearly. It's as important as trades, but it seems to me that the regulators at this stage, when they are investigating firms, it is more around the trades rather than communications. But that's beginning to change. You mentioned WhatsApp. The SEC, obviously, I won't name the institution, but passed down a $200 million fine. And it wasn't because they were using WhatsApp, it's just the way the WhatsApp was being managed internally within that firm. And the whole working from home side of things, of course, and I know it's getting a bit dull talking about COVID, but COVID, of course, led to a mass working from home. And I think going forward, there will be a hybrid version of that. I don't think any firm will necessarily insist on 5 days a week back in the office. So WhatsApp is a danger. So you either have to put in in your employee handbook, do not use WhatsApp. Or if WhatsApp is permissible, then you have to be able to have oversight of that and be able to capture that. And that's obviously something that we, with some partners that we work with, we can ingest and bring in line and in parallel to all the traditional communication channels, be it Bloomberg, be it email, be it Symphony, be it Zoom, Teams, chats, all that. So the WhatsApp thing has certainly changed the landscape a lot, and it will continue to do so. And it needs to be monitored, and asset managers as well as sell-side firms need to have a policy in place.
Absolutely. It sounds like a really complex ecosystem you have to navigate there. I mean, do you have any best practices you'd like to share with asset managers, perhaps?
Well, the best practice really is, I mean, regardless who you choose, I think the key is just choose a provider that allows you to get to your data very quickly and very easily. Now, depending on the scale of the asset managers, they may choose multiple different providers who focus on one particular channel, and that's absolutely fine. But if you are a larger asset manager and you have more of a global footprint, and you have certainly a large number of staff that you wish to monitor, then you may want to look at your individual providers and see whether you can centralize them, somehow bring them into one platform. And then from there, you don't need to go to multiple different data sources. You can just go to the one, a few mouse clicks, and you have the entire story. So that's one practice that I would recommend to people. But it really, the asset managers know their own business very well. So it's up to them to see what they can deal with and how much volume of data searching and data gathering that they can easily cope with. And if they want to reduce that, then they should certainly look at a centralized and more automated way of doing that.
Thank you very much, Mark, for everything today.
Pleasure.